Okay, so this is a cast on video for left-handers, left-handed people who would like to attempt the most complex cast on method. So what we need to do at the beginning is measure off approximately 3.5 times the eventual width of the blanket that you're going to make. So what I do is actually for an 80 centimetre width blanket, I will measure off approximately 3 meters. As I've explained in the other video, it's really because everyone has different shape and sized arms, and we'll all make our stitches ever so slightly differently. So you need to make sure that you have adequate amount of yarn to create your 14 stitches to make the blanket. So I kind of overestimate it a little bit, but if you find that once you've cast on your stitches you actually do have quite a lot left over and you don't want it to waste, although there are some exciting pom-poms you can make with it, then I would suggest that you undo your work and measure off a little bit less and create the 14 stitches again, so that you have adjusted for that extra wastage. Right then, so let's imagine that I have measured off all my yarn. So here it is, and this I'm going to put that 3 meters worth of yarn I'm going to put on my lap, and I'm going to call that the tail. Okay, and then this is the point that I've measured to, so that's where the 3 meter mark is, and I'm going to create a slip knot as we have done in the other videos. So we're going to cross the yarn over itself like that, and then the yarn that's on the front, we're going to pick that up and just pop it up through the back of that loop to create another loop like that. And then if we hang on to that loop and pull on the working yarn side, it will tighten into a nice knot for us. And then if we pull on the tail, it will adjust the height of that loop. Now then, so you're going to take this loop and you're going to place it onto your left wrist. Okay, and you want to make sure before you start that it does fit all the way up to your elbow. So do a little wiggle test, as I call it. Bring it back down and you'll find that it will be looser and baggier at the bottom there, but that's fine because this will end up at your elbow, and you will want to have that space to stack other stitches in front of it. So we're doing 14, or you will do 14. Now then, I'm going to place my working yarn over to the right hand side of the table. Okay, and my tail, let's move that over a little bit further, so my tail will be hanging on my lap, and now I'm going to get my right hand involved, and my right hand is going to be managing these 2 strands of yarn. So at the top we have the working yarn, and at the bottom we have the tail. Okay, so with my right hand I'm going to have my hands palms facing each other, and my thumbs are pointing towards me. Specifically, you want your right hand thumb pointing towards you, and the fingers of your right hand, you're actually going to sort of create a V shape between your index finger and middle finger, and in that V shape you're going to prop the working yarn like that, and then your thumb that's pointing towards you is going to scoop down and pick up the tail just from behind it like that. You want the tail to hang over this thumb, almost like it's hanging over a nail on the wall, and nail rhymes with tail, so that should help you remember. You don't want this tail to end up somehow on the outside of your arm like that. So that's really important. You want it hanging down like that. Okay, so now we've kind of got this catapult sort of shape, and we've got the right hand managing both strands of yarn. So next we're going to just check the distance between our hands, because we don't want to be too far away and we don't want to be too close. Now if you bend your fingers in, you just want your fingertips to touch. That's just about right. And you'll get a feel or a sense for what the correct distance is, but that's a good measuring stick. Okay, and now we're going to go high with our right hand and low with our left, and the reason is because all the action is going to happen around this thumb. And if we had our hands parallel, we wouldn't actually see what we were doing very clearly. So we're going high with our right and low with our left. And then the next move is to take your left hand and place it onto your right forearm. Now if I take my hand off, you'll see there's no loop around my thumb at the moment, but if I cross my arm over, now there's kind of a loop. So we're looking at this here, can you see this loop here? So I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to find my way into that loop from underneath. So from the outside edge there, I'm going up inside, okay? My whole hand's going to come through and my thumbs are going to brush past each other there. I will know I'm in the right place if my thumbs touch. And then on the other side at the back, I've got this working yarn sitting in the V shape at the back, and it's just waiting for me to grab hold of with my whole hand, the whole of my left hand, and then my right thumb holding this loop. So it's going to just drop the loop off the back of my hand, and I'm going to pull this yarn towards me, and that will create a loop in my hand like that. And that loop literally just gets fed on to my left arm. Now it all looks a little bit baggy and loose there, so we're going to take the tail and tighten that stitch. Okay, the tail tightens the stitches. And when you have two, you want to double check again that they still both fit up your arm, because you want, they're kind of acting as the measuring stick for your stitch size. Okay, so let's have another go at that. So 2 strands, you've got your working yarn and you've got your tail. Your right hand gets involved at this stage, so you want to keep these down by your wrist at all times. They'll slowly move up your arm as you stack another one on, but you essentially want to keep the last loop that you made at least down by your wrist. Your right hand is going to create its V shape, okay, and you're going to prop the working yarn in that V, and then your thumb pointing towards you is going to pick up the tail, scoop down and pick it up, so it's hanging over the top of your thumb. Now you're going to go high with your right hand and low with your left, so that when you cross over your left over right like that, you've got a loop around your thumb. Can you see that? So it's this loop here that's traveling around, and we're going up inside that loop from underneath all the way through, so the hand goes all the way through, and then with your left hand you're going to grab hold of the working yarn that's sitting in that V shape at the back. So it's just sitting perfectly positioned for you to grab with your whole hand. And you're going to pull that back towards you at the same time as dropping the loop that's on your thumb off the back. There we go. Once that loop is through, you can take your hand away from everything else, and there is your loop. So that one there will just stack on to our left arm as before, and we're going to pull on the tail to tighten that stitch. Now in theory, when you do pull on that tail, it will tighten to the same size as the stitch before it. So you should know, after you've measured the first 2 and you're satisfied with those, you should be satisfied that if you just pull on the tail, it will stop when it's tight, and that will be the same size as the previous stitch. Okay, so I'll do one more and then you can continue and do the remaining 10. Feel free to stop and rewind me. So we have our 2 strands, working yarn, tail, right hand gets involved, create a V shape with those fingers and place the working yarn in the V. Then your thumb is going to scoop down and pick up the tail that's on your lap. And we're going high with our right hand, and the left hand is going to cross over to create that loop around the thumb. So when you're satisfied you have identified that loop, you know where it is, you know, it's fine for you to just pause and just be sure of where you're going before you start getting your other hand involved. So then insert your left hand up inside that loop, okay, grabbing the working yarn that's sitting there at the back, pull it towards you, at the same time dropping the loop on your thumb off, and there is your loop to feed on to your left arm. And we'll pull on the tail to tighten. If I show you, I'll do one more actually because it will make a bit more sense with a few more stitches. So let's do one more. So left hand V shape, sorry, right hand V shape, prop the working yarn in there, and your right thumb is going to scoop down and pick up the tail. Go high with your right, low with your left, cross over with your left, and then the left hand is going to find its way into the loop around your thumb like that, all the way through, and you're going to collect the yarn that's at the back with your whole hand, pull it towards you and drop the loop off your left hand, and there is your new loop to go on, and you pull on the tail to tighten. So I just wanted to show you the effect. So that is what you get on the edge of your blanket, which is neater and I think prettier than the previous cast-ons, the easier cast-ons that I've shown you. So you'll find that that will stay really neat and tidy and secure at the base of your blanket. Okay, so you carry on and do the next. I've done 5, so you'll need to do another 9. And then I will see you in the knitting video, which is suitable for left and right handers alike. Okay.